What's going on, guys? I am doing the intro from my kitchen because I just don't feel like being inside the garage at the moment. So anyway, this video, I'm going to be covering the South Jersey region's Battle at the Bay. That was a 2-day event that they always hold. It's a fun time. They have the teams and, makes the event a little bit more interesting. This year's theme was the Fast and Furious family. So everyone had their own family and had to call their runs, and they made it Fast and Furious themes. Like everyone had a precision driver and had different rules and whatnot. As for standings, my team finished third out of 8 teams. For usual class ranks, I finished third in SMF both days. That was in the Mazdaspeed 3. Some things to note from the past 2 days. I started day one on my usual set of Nexens on my NQ wheels. At the end of day one of my Nexens actually started to delaminate. And I mean, I couldn't ask much more out of the tires. This is probably their 4th season of me driving on them. So it was only a matter of time for those things to start kind of showing their wear and age. So what I did was for day 2, I threw on my MSWs. I guess it's like an OZ branded wheel. Threw the MSWs on, and what's currently mounted on them is a set of the Accelera 651 Sports. Those technically can be considered a drift tire, but they had a sale, and I was like, whatever, you can't complain about $400 tires. They're 100 tread wears. The way how they behaved was almost like a decent set of 200 tread wears, maybe not even like a competitive 200, but they were kind of gripping like that. The tires didn't get greasy at all, believe it or not. Once they heated up, I actually got faster. My first run when they were cold was like, I think it was like a 77-second run. By the time I was doing my last 6 run, I dropped almost, I think it was like 4 seconds off of that first, about 5 seconds off of that first run. So did they get faster with heat? Didn't feel any drop off on them, thankfully. Still was a learning experience though, because not only was I running a totally different tire that I'd never driven on before, I was also driving on a wheel spec that was a little bit different from what I used to. It was still a 17-inch wheel, but I was also running a thinner sidewall on the tire, and I was also running a narrower offset than what the Yankees were. So one thing I did notice about the second day on the new set was the car did rotate a lot easier. Again, I don't know if that was just because of the tire, the offset, me just already being kind of, day 2, I'm kind of still tuned to driving the vehicle. But other than that, that's pretty much it. So when it comes to the videos for today, you're going to have 4. It's going to be a longer video. I'm going to do my course walks through for day 1, day 2, and then I'll show you my fastest runs or team runs. I don't remember which ones was which. Those will be the in-cabin views. So anyway, let's go ahead and get this started. All right, so let's go ahead and start with day 1's course. We go ahead and start off with an immediate left-hander. And once you got through this left-hander, you kind of got a little mini slalom going off here. And you're basically off after that. Very quick starts, really had to kind of be on your game as soon as you were moving. Once you kind of navigated through here, what we have next is a right-hander over into the little taxiway of the airport. And right here was a tricky spot, almost like a reversing V type of turn. So hard on the brakes, and you had to rotate the car almost backwards to where you were coming from to go back up the runway again. As you were finishing up this slalom, you're setting yourself up for a sweeping right-hander. Now for this part here, I found that as long as you carried speed, you can actually kind of cheat a little bit and go a little bit wide. Just because you're staying on the left-hand sides of the pointer cones. So you can see here, almost way far out here, set himself up here, and then you had a slalom to go through. And this was pretty much textbook go through the cones. Now, what a lot of people ended up finding out was as you were going through this section here, when you start out the slalom, try to get your entry speed as high as you can, because this whole stretch of road here, you basically wanted to keep that speed. It was very misleading to think that you had space to get on it. You get on it a bit, and the next gate or pointer cone will come at you very quickly, and you'll have too much speed to be able to maneuver around it. So you have to kind of find that happy medium almost. As you can see, it was basically essentially a long slalom, so keeping your speed at a maintainable pace was key. This section here, this little transition was very quick. You can almost take it flat out depending on how well set up your car was. I was taking it at a pretty decent pace, if I do say so myself. Coming out here, again, you can kind of cheat out a little bit, go a little bit wide, set yourself up here. And again, almost like another slalom, but it was just spaced out well. As long as your car was able to rotate and get to the cones at the right angle, you're pretty much quick through here. And as you finished up this last little section, you will just go ahead, set yourself up to go through those timing lights. And that was day one's course. So now let's go on to day two. So to quote the organizers, this course was an absolute unit of a course. Start was the same. This was a long course, about a minute long for the fastest time. So you still had the left-hander. Instead, you went directly into a slalom, and then you had to cut to your left immediately. Once you cleared that wall, you had a nice little sweeping right-hander. Take that nice and fast. And then you were going to come back in again. You were not going to go through the taxiway. You're going to go farther down on the runway. Get some speed here. And then what you're going to do is kind of brake. And then you're going to late apex into this section here. And then you're back on the power again. And then this is going to lead you up to another sweeping right-hander. Might be actually in the same position as yesterday, but you just came in from a different entry point. Once you got it here, this is where the car rotated nicely, and you had yourself a nice long slalom here. Grabbed third gear at the beginning of the slalom, and I kept third gear all the way down through this whole back section of the course, just to keep the power band at its optimal location. Very fast, very fun. The car was handling quite well. This is when I was using those different tires and wheels. No complaints there, to be honest with you. I think they performed just fine. Were they the fastest tires? Probably not, but I made do with them. Once you pass these two gates, go around the sand castle there. They're going to come out to the left, and then right as soon as you finish this section, you had a little bit of a window where it's just straight. This is where I got into the brakes, clutched in, and then as soon as I cleared this corner cone, downshifted to second and kept it tight around the carousel back here. Keeping it tight, there actually is a little bit of camber here, so you can use that to your advantage. On the exit, you want to backside this pointer cone onto your left as close as possible and almost get close to the grass as you can on the left here. And that leads you straight into the next pointer. And then it's almost a little bit as the same as the course previous. Long sweepers, almost like a slalom. You had a little mini left-right over here. So you have your 1, your 2, and then you're going to come back out again. And once you come out here, you're going to go to your left. And once you cleared this last part, just slam on the accelerator, and you basically had a straight shot into the finish. And that was the day 2 course. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and shut up and show you both runs from the in-cabin view. Thanks again for watching, guys.